Love them or hate them, there's no denying that video games have become a worldwide phenomenon. From simple lines on a screen to literal life simulators, video games are becoming more and more like movies or TV shows, in some cases even trying to mix the two things. Still, with the advance in technology and the ability to tell nuanced stories with interesting and believable characters, I have to ask the question, and yes, it is late, can video games be considered a form of art? Bear in mind that this is my opinion, and I understand if you think otherwise, and I would very much like to hear your opinion in the comment section down below. First off, what is art? Well, the definition of art is the expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power, or works produced by human creative skill and imagination. So what we can gather from this is that things like sculpture or paintings are definitely art. So, case closed, right? I mean, the definition clearly tells us that art is painting or sculpture. However, the two definitions tell us that art is produced by human creative skill and imagination. Games are without a doubt the expression of human creative skill. Many game studios around the world are able to create breathing, living worlds in which the player can lose hours upon hours exploring every nook and cranny of that world. Here's the thing, in our day and age, many words are being thrown around without knowing their actual definition, so we're losing their original meaning. The word art has lost its meaning because along the way came other forms of art, like comics or movies, which made us question if art could be something more than just a painting or a sculpture. So, in order to answer the question, I think we need to see what art does and then compare them to video games. And the quintessential thing when it comes down to art is to invoke emotion, whether sadness or happiness. Art has always been able to evoke emotions through its imagery, whether it's the struggle or anxiety of the modern man in The Scream by Edvard Munch, or the emulation of ancient painters in the context of wedding celebrations in The Birth of Venus. Now, are video games able to tell stories with meaningful themes? Well, yes, of course. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a primary example of games as an art form. The protagonist, Arthur Morgan, is a member of the Van der Linde gang, a group of outlaws that must face the decline of the Wild West and the rise of civilization in 1899. The themes present in the game are revenge and most importantly, redemption. Arthur Morgan himself starts out as a simple brute, growing more wiser after finding out that he has tuberculosis, and the gang's leader Dutch van der Linde becoming increasingly more violent. By the end, Arthur manages to redeem himself by saving fellow member John Marston, dying facing the rising sun. Revenge is played as a fool's game, in a sense that everyone who wanted to get revenge eventually got the short end of the stick, like John Marston, who after getting his revenge on Micah is found by the Pinkertons, kickstarting the events of the first game. Sadie Adler, who got her revenge on those damn O'Driscoll boys, is now alone as a bounty hunter, unable to move on from the killing. But this also brings up another question. If a game has a story, then does it automatically make it a form of art? No, just some of them. This response will be very similar to Martin Scorsese's response to Marvel movies. He says that the MCU is not cinema. They are not movies like Taxi Driver, Scarface, or The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. They are different, much like how Serious Sam 3 is different from Shadow of the Colossus. You can't put a story about a boy attempting to revive his girlfriend in the same category as a muscular man whose pockets are so deep that he can fit every conceivable weapon and fight aliens. It has a story, but only that if you try to go deep, you don't find anything because there is nothing there. Or there is, but only the bare minimum. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of Marvel movies. I fucking love comic books, and I always will. It's just that Marvel movies will never hold a candle to movies like The Godfather or Citizen Kane. To answer the question, are video games an art form? Yes, And no, some games are able to tell brilliantly crafted stories with deep and sometimes philosophical subjects, but there are also those that have stories which are only meant to fill that void. We just have to set some parameters for what is art and what is not, and then let the creators do their thing.